you've been in pain for a while, persistent, recurring pain or consistent pain, and it's never really quite resolved, whatever you've done, then I want to tell you why trying to fix pain is probably part of the reason why you're still stuck. And I'm going to tell you about what to do instead. I'm Claudine, by the way. Nice to meet you. If you're new here, welcome. Here's the problem with fixing. You are treating your body as though it's a problem, and you might think, well, yeah, that's natural. And it is. If you're in pain, the natural response is, I want to get out of pain. And so the first thing you do is go, okay, how can I do that? How can I fix? Trouble is, if you've been trying that over time, what happens is, and when you don't resolve it, or maybe to get temporary relief, is that you end up feeling really quite stuck. Like that's the image you have of yourself. I'm stuck with this problem. And that happened to me. I had hip pain for a long time, 15 odd years, and it became like an identity that I had. Yeah, it's just my, whatever, injury. And that in itself, it stops you moving forward. If you can recognise that as being true for you, then instead of that, if you were to stop treating pain as something to fix, then your nervous system kind of starts to calm down a bit. It's like you're not in that battle anymore. And that in itself is the first step. It's actually the first step to being out of pain. You start to be able to then access information that you didn't have about yourself. You start to be able to notice things you hadn't noticed before. Other things seem to become more relevant to you. So, for example, with me, I didn't realise that I was holding my hip up most of the time, and that when I walked, my hip just wasn't moving properly. So no wonder the pain shifted to the other side, and that I was holding and gripping and slightly off balance. And I hadn't noticed that before. I could feel the symptom of it. I could feel the tightness and the tension, the pain, but not the actual thing that was happening behind that. So when you stop trying to fix, then you have a space to notice something different. That's what I'm trying to say. And it also kind of softens your identity around the problem, right? So instead of feeling like I'm somebody who has got this problem, it becomes more like, I recognise why I have a problem. I know what's behind it, so therefore I can respond to that, and I can learn from it, and I can make changes. So I want to give you 5 steps that can help you to do that, to realign with what's really going on in your nervous system, and to be in a process that isn't about fixing something, but it's about understanding it and using that as a way to change your situation. So the first thing is to get into a learning process, and a somatic learning process, right? Instead of fixing, which is about get rid of the pain now, make it stop, a learning process is about, okay, what's really going on? And what can I change? What can I do differently? What do I not know about myself and why I might have pain? And the learning process is something that leads you from where you are now to where you want to be in a much more authentic way and long-lasting way, because there's no end to the possibility of learning. As humans, we're designed to continually learn and grow. So being in a learning process is the first step to not being stuck with the problem long term. Second step, like it, is to learn how to be somatic. Now, somatic means your first person experience of yourself in your body, what it feels like to be you. And you might think, well, okay, that's easy. I know what it feels like to be me. But what I found was, I thought I could do this quite easily. I mean, when I first started this work, I was like, oh yeah, I already know these things. I know how to feel things, and you know, a lot of the language is very similar to what I experienced and taught in yoga. So I thought, well, I already know how to do this. But in actual fact, because I had come from an exercise background and yoga included in that, my body was used to doing things in a certain way, and I would continually override things because it was a habit. And what I really needed to do was to slow down and learn how to actually sense and feel what was going on. And in order to do that, you have to be patient and you have to be willing to be in that process. For me, that was being guided regularly and to step out of this kind of idea that I already knew, because I didn't. And over time, that learning to be somatic was like the key. It was the key to unlocking my progress forwards, to be able to start to change my nervous system, because I could recognise things that I hadn't learnt before, I hadn't noticed before. And it seems to me that whenever I work with people, it's one of the hardest things to do. Most people are used to this exercise and just pushing through, and you know, like, oh, you know, it's boring, or I haven't got time for this, and that's actually the main problem. We are always on alert, we're always on the go, we always want to do more, push through and solve the problem that way. Doesn't work. So learning to be somatic is the second step to not staying stuck. Thirdly is about redefining progress. What's progress? Well, progress is getting out of pain, right? It stands to reason. If you're in pain and then you do something and you're not in pain, you know, it's worked. I'm going to say you need to change that idea. Because why? Because, again, it keeps you in this idea that you've somehow got to do things perfectly, which means, yeah, you end up back in fix it, and you end up back in over-efforting, trying to do too much. So instead, the focus has to be on what's different, what's new now, what do I know now that I didn't know before, and having these little mini light bulb moments in your own system where you start to recognise things. That's the transformation. It's a hard one. It's a hard one, especially if you're, you know, a bit of a perfectionist and you know, you just want to achieve the thing. No, you have to take these little small wins as the transformation, which build up over time, and then that leads you to, yeah, to the changes that you really want long term. And we're looking at this from a long term perspective as well. We're done with the quick fixes. Yeah, we actually want to feel better long term. We want to be active and mobile and healthy, you know, for years to come, not just next week or next month. So it's taking this longer term view of, yeah, but this can be done. I just need the right tools and the right mindset. So step 3, redefine what progress actually means. Now step 4 is work with your body's intelligence, your body's natural intelligence. Wow, what does that mean? Again, outside fixes are really counterintuitive to how the body really works. Body's a system, and we tend to view it as a structure that we need to manipulate or you know, adjust. But in actual fact, the body's not too dissimilar to a computer, where if there's a problem with it, chances are it's a software issue. It's a breakdown in communication. It's not the hardware itself, very rarely. Same with the body. It's very rarely a structural problem with your body. It's usually a functional problem. Your nervous system has adapted you in a way that has created a little breakdown in communication. And when you understand how that actually happens, mainly through the stress reflexes, how the nervous system adapts you to your environment, how it gets you moving, moves you forward, also withdraws you and protects you, then when you start working with that, and from that place, everything else makes more sense, and it takes you out of the fix-it mentality and into more of a curiosity and being more like a bit of a detective, which is far more interesting and much more rewarding as well, because it's down to you, right? It doesn't rely on anybody else doing something to you. You get to do it for yourself from a place of knowledge, from a place of understanding and confidence. So getting to know your body's natural intelligence and coming from that angle. Step 5 is building a relationship of appreciation with your body, with the way it works, noticing what you don't notice normally, and appreciate that, yeah, there's a change there. So for example, if you are doing a somatic exercise that is teaching you something that is outside of your current awareness, and you get some new awareness from that, like, oh, I've managed to release certain muscles, I feel better, I feel more open, I can breathe more deeply. When you spend some time pausing to recognise them and appreciate them, that will cultivate in you a new sense of yourself. It's actually what helps you to change your mindset and move you towards what you're looking for. Better mobility, more easy movement, away from pain obviously, and to stay that way. And shift yourself out of the identity of I'm just somebody that's constantly trying to heal into somebody who knows they have the tools and can do it. And honestly, this is probably one of the biggest things that people say to me that's least expected, is that I just don't worry about it anymore. And it's not like a blind acceptance of I'll just give up, but it's more of like an inner confidence, it's an inner sense of control and autonomy, for want of a better word. So those are the 5 steps. Get into a learning process, a somatic learning process, and learn how to be somatic. Change the way you look at progress. Work with your body. Learn about your nervous system and build some appreciation for what you can do, what you do have, and the little changes that happen along the way. And you'll find yourself in a brand new situation, brand new body over time with patience. All right, I hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments, and I'll see you next time.